here we are. This is Sex Love Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat, bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more. Clients that I get in with couples who are complaining around sexual desire discrepancies, or even with, I've had partners in the past say that they don't want to have sex because they don't have the energy or the stamina for sex. And I'm like, sex doesn't have to be a lot of energy. It can, and it can even build from very subtle energy movements or subtle, like less activity that builds an intensity of feeling. But I think there's such this idea that sex, it has to require a lot of energy.
So a lot of couples that I work with, there is a discrepancy in desire or desire pathways. And sometimes, there is one that's like ready to go at any time, which is great. And the other one just needs a little more zhuzh. They need, some setup. They need candles. They need music. They need to be invited. And it can be a lot for that person who's always ready to go to make the invitation, always to be the asker. It's tough. And sometimes, as a coach, my invitation is you guys switch roles. Since you're the one that always is asking, it's you that's going to be the asker this time. And giving it that 5 minutes of, I'm not in the mood, but the question really is, could you be in the mood? Because look, we all have really busy days and there's a lot going on. There's children involved in people's homes. And I think what happens is it's the last thing to be on the list is sex and erotic connection. And it's such an important part of our wellness. And the way that a couple stay connected to each other, that it needs to be made a priority. And it doesn't always need to look like penis in a hole sex. It doesn't need to be that. Sometimes it can be like, hey, I don't have the energy to involve my body, but I could give you my body. My body is for you. You can touch me. You can fuck me. You can do whatever you want with my body. I'm opening myself to you as a gift. Does that feel good for you? Okay, I'll try. And in the middle of it, I might be like, ooh, this is kind of hot. And get into it or not. And I, upheld my end of the bargain. Or I tried. I think, again, there's that feeling of when you're always asking and the person is like, I'm tired. No, it's harder and harder to ask, right? And so just noting like, I'm not in the mood, but I'm going to give it a try. Like, can we just make out? It's like the yes and. Yes, I will, and I'm not into getting fucked by you tonight. Or yes, and I only have energy for X, Y, and Z.
I love that. Yeah.
And so it's giving options instead of a closed door.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I've had a couple of times in the past where partners gave me a leg to grind on or gave me a hand to do whatever I wanted to on it. And I love that because it is them, and then we turned it into this, well, you're my slutty little sex toy because I get to use you. But again, it's them tuning into what their boundary of what they're available for. Right. And it's not a black or white, decision. It's not I'm too tired, therefore you can't, but this is how much I'm available for. And that's it.
Yeah. And I think there's also like what you just said is you created a game out of it, which is you became a sex doll or a sex doll, right? And, for people that are like, well, I'm not going to get off if there's no responsiveness, right? But there's a lot of responsiveness into being still and being quiet as a doll. That is an active role.
It does. And it's consenting too. Like you're consenting to allow your body to be used in that way. And there's something really, the power dynamic there is equal because you're agreeing, full body agreeing to a yes in that situation. And again, you're co-creating how much of your body is used or what that, what that looks like, what that means.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex Love Psychedelics.